Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Real Heroes Show. You got Corey and Nick with you here as always. And in today's episode, we're a little bit happy, we're a little bit excited, we're a little bit sad, we're very scared to talk about the season finale of Star Wars: The Bad Batch. It's been hard to believe that it's been 16 weeks already of this show since it premiered on May the 4th and it finished on Friday the 13th, which is kind of fun. We will be talking spoilers about the entire first season now that it is sadly over. So if you haven't caught up on any of that, please go over to Disney Plus, check it out, then come back and see us. Nick, how you doing today, bud?
Doing well. Yeah, it is Friday the 13th.
It is
hilarious.
Yeah. Show started on May the 4th, ended on Friday the 13th, and I was scared for a good chunk of this episode.
Yeah.
So before we dive into the spoilers, thumbs up or thumbs down on this one?
Oh, I'm giving this one 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up. I like it.
2 thumbs up. Yeah.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
Maybe even the Scorsese cinema. Who knows? I don't know. But I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was very different from what I thought it was going to be, which I'm sure we'll kind of talk about. But I have a bunch of talking points, so let's plow right through them and
dive in.
Get this bitch going. The opening was incredible.
Yes.
Like I know that last week they left off with the beginning of the Empire destroying the city on Kamino, but this opening spot, like, just so much destruction. It shows the full might of the Empire, and this is an Empire that's still kind of in its infancy. They're not even at like full blast here, and they're still like tearing shit up. It's pretty wild. I thought that the image of Admiral Rampart standing on the bridge in like the Empire pose was great, because the lightning was like out in the background behind him. Very badass, incredible animation there. What are your thoughts on the Empire? Are they a force to be reckoned with at this point, or what?
Yeah, because the Death Star hasn't been created yet. The idea of it, obviously we know coming from episode 3. Yep. But to this point, it hasn't been constructed. It's not operational. So
fully
operational. Yeah. So, just to see 3 Star Destroyers, wreaking havoc on what is the only city on Kamino to literally be sunk into the bottom of the planet, is very, like I said, it just had this eerie feel to it, dark and obviously, very sad because of what we know between episode 2 through the Clone Wars up until now. Like, that's it. Like, history has been sunken, right? It's like the city of Atlantis for Kamino, which is at the bottom of the ocean.
Oh, true.
So it was intense. There were some moments where I'm like, who's gonna die here? Oh shit, is Omega gonna die? Oh my god, is Crosshair gonna die? Is AZ gonna die? Just, it kind of shifts between characters as to what is their final moment going to be, if at all.
Sure. And it wasn't like Alderaan in episode 4, where it's just like all of a sudden it's gone.
Right.
This is like they took their time and they rained fire down on this thing, and it's not like the planet is destroyed, but the planet is basically wiped off the map. If you remember from episode 2, it's not on any star maps. Obi-Wan can't find it in the Jedi archives.
Right.
And now, like, the one big city that was there is essentially off the map. It's underwater. It's pretty wild. It shows what the Empire can do. I thought that the escape from the city back to the platform where the Marauder was, it felt a little Indiana Jonesy, where it was like just one problem after another, whether it's the giant monster, or whether it's the water, or the tube falling apart, or whatever. It was no power. They shorted stuff. Like, that was I thought that was great. It also kind of mirrored like A New Hope, when you think about it. Like, Luke is there and they're in this shootout in the hallway, and he escapes the shootout in the hallway, but then he's in a trash compactor. And it's bad enough that he's in a trash compactor, but then there's a monster in the trash compactor. And it's bad enough there's a monster, but the walls are also closing in. Like, so it kind of felt like similar to that sort of thing, which I thought was cool. But again, very different from what I thought this episode was going to be. I thought they were going to get off Kamino very quickly.
Same here.
and then go somewhere else. But they were there the entire episode. So
yeah, and I kind of like the fact that this two-parter took place in one location, because it kept the story there. It kept you immersed in this environment that is going into utter chaos and destruction, right? It's not like what we normally get on each episode is a different planet, different location.
Yep.
Like we get to, contain the feelings from the week before and merge them into the feelings and perspectives that we get in this episode, the finale. So, and I really love that they do that sort of thing, just like the 4-parter in Clone Wars season 7. When they're actually going through the underwater tubes.
Yep.
And I'm like thinking to myself, I thought there was like weird creatures or sea monsters in Kamino, and then there's that noise. I'm like, oh, here we go. Yeah. So that was really cool to see that. And it makes sense why it just decided to come out, because there's no power anymore, and obviously,
and apparently the power was protecting the tube from the creatures. Yeah. So there's no power now. The creature can attack. It was fun.
Yeah.
It also kind of looked a little bit like the Ravenak from the first episode of Mandalorian.
Yes.
And they both get electrocuted to send them away to safety, which was pretty cool. But you mentioned this tube and the fact that they're stuck on Kamino and they're all together. There is no better form of group therapy than putting a bunch of people that are pissed off at each other in a room and forcing them to talk, which is basically what this episode did. So, Crosshair, being the outlier of the group, he got to have a chat with almost like everybody, right? Yep. So Tech had the conversation where he was like, he's always been aggressive and unwieldy. That's just who you are. We might not want the same thing, but we're fighting for the same thing or whatever. Right. Wrecker has the conversation where he's like, we would have taken you back if you came back. Omega sits down next to him and he goes, what? Yeah. And she tells him, I know what you're going through. Later on at the end of the episode, she says, you're still my brother, which is like the heartstring stuff. But it begs the question now, where does Crosshair go from here? I thought he was going to die, or I thought Hunter was going to die to elevate Crosshair to a new thing. Now he's on this platform that he really can't get away from. He doesn't have a ship. I don't know if he has communication with the Empire. Do we get like a Tom Hanks Castaway Disney Plus show with Crosshair now? And if we do, who's his Wilson? That's what I need to know. But we're going into a season 2. Do you think the Empire will welcome him back with open arms? Do you think that he'll go back to the Empire, but with maybe a little bit of trepidation based on the fact that they left him for dead? Now that he's alive still, where do you think it all goes?
It's interesting because, like Hunter says at the end, we have to get out of here before more scouts show up. And I wonder if it's like, hey, make sure everything's gone on Kamino. And I imagine Crosshair is just going to be chilling on the platform going,
what's up, y'all?
Over here. Hey. 3PO. I think they'll probably take him back, just because, like he said to Hunter, everything's gone. The Republic, the clones, Kamino. Yep. He goes, and I'm joining the Empire, and I'm, it's their time now. I want to be a part of it. And it's because we know what goes on over the course of the next few or several decades, and it's nothing good. No. So it's like kind of just to see Crosshair go that path. And it's like, man, this isn't about good soldiers follow orders. Even though he says that again to Hunter, when they're trying to escape, but at the same time, like you said, Hunter's like, we want different things, but we're still trying to fight for the same thing. And I wondered if Crosshair might bite the dust this episode, which he came close, but again, because his older sibling, Omega,
she saved him.
She saved his ass.
Then he returned the favor later on.
Yeah, so. And and it's weird because it's like he's clearly he's clearly an asshole.
Oh yeah.
But when he saved Omega and AZ, and tosses the gun to Wrecker, it's like, I'm not going to shoot you, even though I could.
I could put you down right now, but I'm not going to.
Right.
AZ also had like a full on like never let go Titanic type moment when you thought he was going down, and then thankfully they saved him, because he was the only source of like levity in this episode. Like any of the comedy or breaking of the tension basically came from that character. So it was cool that he was spared and saved, which was good. No death was interesting. I thought for certain to elevate the stakes that would have happened, but I guess there's always next season for that, right?
Yeah, and even though I think at one point you realize, okay, well, all the clones and Omega are, they're gonna make it out, right? And then there's a moment with AZ, and I'm like, oh damn, like Omega's just gonna watch AZ kind of, there's that shot where like she's in the tube and you just see like AZ like falling into the depth of the ocean, and like that was a really cool like cinematic look too. I really loved that. Which like a lot of shots in this episode, but
incredible. Yeah,
she's like, I'm going after him, and I'm like, oh, you're so stupid. Like,
but that's her character, right? The entire season, they have established the fact that if you're part of her family or her team, she's never gonna let you get left behind. You know, whether it kills her or injures her or whatever, she's a trooper for them, which is a pretty neat little character thing. I dug that. So the Bad Batch, Crosshair, they all get to the platform, which I think is the first time we've ever seen Kamino without pouring rain, which I thought was kind of poetic, because it's probably the last time we're ever going to see Kamino, and it's like, oh look, the sun came out. But we then get this ending where at this planet that we don't know yet, but Nala Se is brought in on an Imperial ship. Meets a scientist who's wearing an outfit that's almost identical to the good Dr. Pershing from The Mandalorian. And this person says that they're very excited for the things that Nala Se can do for the Empire. So we know that season 2 is coming. This has to be the beginnings of trying to get their hands on force sensitive beings to do cloning as part of Palpatine's contingency in the event that he dies. So leave it to Star Wars Animation to fill in the cracks and
pave the way,
enhance the films and make the overall story better. Do you think that next season's going to be more direct Mando tie-in stuff?
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more focus on, and I guess my hope is that we see the Bad Batch, including Omega now, of course. I still think they're going to be somewhat hunted by Crosshair. I don't know if the Bad Batch will be going on missions to prevent what the Empire is doing. Because it'll be interesting to see who they sort of partner up with, right? Like we may see them, get into some of the other characters that we know from, Jedi Fallen Order or Rogue One, perhaps Rebels, right?
Solo.
So yeah,
there's so much.
There's a lot of possibilities. Yeah, there's
in
a
that
lot
little time period, right?
Yeah, and I wonder if again, like Crosshair will intentionally go after them or just try to prevent them from interfering or stopping whatever the Empire's doing. But at the same time, again, like if they're going after the like force creatures or force beings, like again, who knows if we'll like imagine seeing the child, right? Seeing Grogu in this Bad Batch show,
right?
No one really could have predicted it, but at the same time, it's Dave Filoni. It makes sense. It ties together. It's like, well, here's how this facility that we saw on Mando season 2, here's kind of how it is developed, and here's one of the leading scientists as to why you're able to do this. It's Nala Se, and again, she was sort of forced to do this, right? Like, it's like you've got, the Nazis trying to force a scientist from another country going, hey, you're going to develop this because we'll kill you if you don't.
Right. Exactly.
We already, so it's crazy, and I wonder what's going to happen for Nala Se as well.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of Galen Erso from Rogue One to a degree, where it's somebody who they don't really want to do this work.
Yeah, good point.
The Empire is going to basically torture them into doing it because they're the ultimate power in the universe at this point. But that mountainous formation that they carved the base out of, it kind of reminded me of the Empire's base on Navarro in that episode of Mando where we saw the Snoke tubes. And the Snoke music played and all that stuff. So I think that it's like these weird little lore things where it's like we didn't know that the Empire had all these secret bases and secret laboratories and God knows where, and we're finding out about all those now, which is cool, because this is all stuff that's pre-episode 4. And the Empire was no joke. We only see so much of them in the original trilogy before they kind of get extinguished. So it's cool to fill in the gaps and see all that stuff. And I think that end credits scene really just kind of opens up a door of possibilities for not only the second season of the show, but how it connects to just everything, the greater Filoni and Favreau verse as we know it, because all that stuff's happening. And this show, the way that they do animation, season 2 is probably close to done already if they do it the same way that they did Star Wars Rebels. So there's a good chance that show might come out the exact same time in 2022 as it came out in 2021, which means you might get that before Kenobi. You might get it before Mando 3. And it could fill in some very important plot points for both of those shows. Yeah.
I really hope it comes out around the same time next year, just, so we don't have to wait longer. And it's still fresh as like a season or a yearly thing from season to season. But again, because there are other Star Wars TV series coming out next year.
Boy, are there.
It would be if this has any direct tie-ins, like it would be really cool to see, because it's like, oh, that part in Clone Wars season 2 that happens in Andor or Mando season 3 or Kenobi, right? Like
what if the Empire is hunting down force sensitive creatures, and that's what forces Obi-Wan to have to leave Tatooine for a while during his show? It could be stuff like that, and Star Wars does time jumps, so season 2 of Bad Batch might be 5 years, 10 years later, who knows?
Right. Yeah.
So it's all up in the air. It's great.
I am curious about that last planet. I was like, I don't recognize it just from the top of my head of like any sort of lore things that I've read over the last couple of decades, but I'm like,
I'll be curious to see. StarWars.com does episode guides the Monday following every episode, so I'll be interested to see if they list that planet or if they keep it a secret for now.
Till season 2 perhaps.
Till season 2, so.
Because I imagine we might see more of that location and what goes on in it. How long are they going to keep that a secret from us?
Sure.
Right, because we're clearly, just like you said, we're clearly understanding now that the Empire is kind of like the Rebels at one point, where they've got these hidden bases across the galaxy, and there's a motive behind it, right? And it's not just like, here's a little hideout. It's like, here's a scientific facility at the top of a mountain that you probably wouldn't think is there. But as you get closer,
very technologically advanced.
And I'm sure, and I'm sure that thing goes way down.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And has bays and God knows what else in there. But it's actually, in a scary way, it's actually kind of cool just to see that, because again, it's like the Empire clearly isn't joking around, as we know. So. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that in season 2. It's
not just the Death Star. Like, they didn't just put all their bets on the table for that one thing, and then Luke blows it up, and then they're done, right? So, I guess the last thing to touch on, which it's a pretty quick thing, but like, this episode had no Rex, no Gregor, no Sid, no Cad Bane, no Fennec, no Cut. All these characters that showed up throughout this season were completely absent here and not talked about at all. Do you think it was good that the finale stuck with the core characters because the story's about them and didn't fixate itself on like a major cameo, because like as much as everybody loves the Luke Skywalker thing, he took the breath out of everything in that final episode of Mando because fucking Skywalker showed up, right? In this one, no cameos happen, so like nothing like internet breaking happened. However, the rest of the episode focused entirely on the Bad Batch and their story. So like I personally liked it. I was expecting something like Ahsoka to show up, or you know, another Jedi or Darth Vader or something like that. And I was kind of pleasantly surprised that it stayed small and they told an emotional story about this family, and that's where they ended it. And they have more seasons to have Vader and Inquisitors and all that other kind of stuff show up. But I don't know how you feel about that, but that's, to me, I thought it was cool that it was kept tight.
Yeah, there was part of me that thought there might be an ally that sort of swoops in to save the day with a ship, rescue as they're trying to get out to the top of the all the debris and get back to the surface of the water there. But I guess I'll say I'm glad that no one came to their aid.
Right. They did it on their own, right?
Yeah, like they're all very strategic, and they've got a good group of people that have been through just as bad, if not worse, scenarios.
Yeah.
So especially with things that are life or death, and they all live, of course. So again, it did focus on the core group, which I think was important, not just for this episode, but for the sake of the show in this two-parter, really. So and again, just the way it leaves off, and that there's that tension. It's just within the Bad Batch, with the Bad Batch to Crosshair, and back and forth with their conversations and dialogue, which really helps strengthen just where they're at, like where everyone is at in their heads,
right?
Because it's like to me, Crosshair looked conflicted at times. Like, he was like, I'm an asshole, but for the Empire, like, I don't want to kill you, but I can if I will if I want to, or whatever. Like, it's like this. I could totally blast you in the face, Hunter, but not gonna do it.
Right. He's so desperate to have them join him. He wants them to be part of the Empire so badly that he's like, I'm not gonna kill you.
It's like I think to some degree he misses them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it's like you're on the wrong time. You're on the wrong team.
Yep.
Like, I don't want to say it's quite like Luke and Vader, but there is this family resemblance there. And,
they're brothers.
Yeah.
Like actual brothers. So
so it's
a bunch of little Jango Fetts with effective parts.
So I enjoyed seeing the conflict. There is no conflict. Within not just Crosshair though, because you can see that each of the Bad Batch, there is this conflict with Crosshair. Like you were saying earlier, we take you back. I want the same thing.
Right.
I understand you. I don't agree with you. So
they all have something, like some form of a bone to pick with him. It's not just Hunter at this point. It is the whole group, but the whole group wants to be a family again. So it's an interesting dynamic, and I hope they explore that a little bit deeper in season 2, now that we know that they're all alive still. But so the season's over. It's a sad thing. What would you give the entire season out of 10?
Ooh,
it's 16 long weeks. We had some very high highs, some pretty low lows. I mean, for me, I'm thinking like a solid 8.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe like an 8. I might get granular with this and go like 8.2.
Okay.
Ish, maybe. Yeah. Like I think an 8 is like an efficient score.
Okay.
For the sake of 16 episodes, right? Like, most of the time we're used to 10, 12.
Or if it's Marvel, only like 6 at this point.
So to get 16 episodes is very rare in this day and age with TV shows. Animated, non-animated, like even like a lot of anime nowadays, you get 10 to 12 episodes, and it's like, what happened to 24 episodes, bro?
That used to be the thing.
So the fact that Lucasfilm and was like, nah, 16's cool. Like, all right, sweet 16. Like,
it's a long journey.
Let's get it. But again, you get the really good episodes, and you get the. What was this? Was this filler? Was it
right? Yeah.
Could it have been condensed to 14 episodes, or 13 maybe? Yeah. That's
maybe,
the risk that they run. 12.
To be honest with you. It
Yeah.
might have been a little bit tighter, but I mean, the highs were so high, whether it was like that first episode or when Cad Bane showed back up or these last couple episodes that ran through to the end, like some of the stronger stuff that Lucasfilm Animation has done overall. And they took a bunch of characters that, while you and I liked that little 4-episode arc in season 7 of Clone Wars, there were a lot of people that were like, why did they do 4 whole episodes on these guys? Like, they're just clones that are good at fighting. And they took all of them and made them all mostly likable, except Crosshair.
Right.
But they made you care and invest emotionally in every single one of them. And they all became individuals, even though they're all born from the same like strand, right? They're all clones. Right. They are all individuals. They all think differently. They think for themselves. And I thought that was really cool. So I give big kudos to Filoni, Jennifer Corbett, Brad Rao, Kevin Kiner and his kids that did the music, which was just outrageous. The entire cinematography team and the lighting team and all that, just like pushing the envelope for what animation can do and showing the medium is in a really good place. So really good stuff there. Sad to not be covering it anymore, but you can bet your bottom dollar we'll be back next year with it when it premieres sometime in 2022. We'd love to hear from you guys now. Drop us a comment below. Let us know what you thought of this episode of the season. Did it go where you thought it was going to? Did it surprise you? Were you happy they're all alive? Would you like to have seen a death? Whatever you want to say. We're idiots for our assessment. Let us know we're idiots and help us boost that YouTube algorithm. So, and if you want to support the channel, you can do so for free. All you have to do is like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, turn on your notifications, and share the video with your friends. We'll be back next week. Ted Lasso review on Monday. Marvel What If review on Wednesday. I'm going on vacation after that, so I don't give a shit what we put on the channel after that. Just kidding, there's gonna be plenty of content. We're really looking forward to all the new stuff that's coming. There's some movies we're gonna review, 4K stuff. Nick's gonna do Titans season 3. So there's a whole bunch coming, so definitely stay tuned for all that and more. Until next time, we'll see you guys in the next video.
Peace.